All right. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Episode 68. Glad you're here. Glad you're listening. Thanks for supporting. We got Stephen Pena Wallen on. Went on his show, so I'll leave that in the comments last week. And yeah, looking forward to getting into some good stuff here. We'll catch y'all after the intro. A new intro will be coming soon. I'm excited to kind of fiddle with that. We used Fiverr to get that one and been using it every episode since like episode 15. So I'm gonna try and fiddle with it myself. But Steven, man, welcome back. Or I guess
Yo,
welcome.
yo,
Yeah.
yo. What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much, Trevor, for having me on. This is going to be a good talk. We had a really good talk on my podcast, and I'm looking forward to having a conversation on this one, man.
Yes, sir. I'm going to actually throw that in the comments right now. Not honestly too sure how the YouTube comments and all that stuff works, but all right. Yeah, man. So like you said, great talk last week on Wednesday. He posted it, threw that in the comments. It'll be in the description. He hosts the Ascension show. We met through a buddy I talked to in a community, Caleb. He will be coming on the show too. That's kind of getting pushed back a couple times. Both been busy, all that fun stuff. So, um, yeah, man. So how you been today? How's the past week and a half week going?
Yeah, I mean, it's just been busy. Like, you know how life gets. You just have a bunch of things that you're doing, especially if you're like us, you have all the responsibilities that you have, and then your passion projects as well. So things that you have set aside for yourself that are standards that you're going to work on. So maybe it's working on your side hustle, or you're going to the gym, making sure you're spending time with loved ones, right? Or just spending time for yourself. So what I've been doing is taking care of my responsibilities. So I'm a student, so making sure I'm like going to school and like doing my homework and like registering for classes, taking care of all that stuff, and also like working my in-person job. And like, of course, I'm still gonna hit the gym. I'm gonna go to jujitsu class, right? And so that sometimes that either is at 6 a.m. or 10 p.m. And
Mhm.
I have to do it, and like that's just something that I do for myself. So my day's been full of taking care of the responsibilities and also doing the things that I love. And I've been on a content push with my accountability buddy. We're doing 30 reels in 30 days on Instagram. So, my day is so busy, and then it's like 9 p.m. and I'm like, shit, I have to post a reel. And so I just have all these things that I'm doing. But something really interesting has been before maybe 2 3 months ago, 3 4 months ago, during this time period, I would be really busy but super low energy, and I would still go to the gym and go to jujitsu, do the content stuff like podcasting as well, but just feel so low energy and not understand why. And I think it's because what I was doing was overcomplicating things and putting together all these things and stressing myself up that I have to do this stuff and I have to, and it's I'm just psyching myself out. But then what I realized was, well, I'm taking this way too seriously. I'm not having fun with this, and it needs to be fun. So what I did was embrace the concept of less is more, and over that time, I've just done some lifestyle changes and I'm doing like a cleanse right now, so I guess that's helping with energy and also just understanding my body. So not trying to construct myself to like a sleep wake cycle that's like 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. or you know what I'm saying. Just going with the flow. So like one day I'm getting up at 6, the next day I'm getting up at 8, whatever. Today I got up at 9 p.m. But I went to bed at 12:30 last night because had stuff that I was doing. I didn't hit the gym until 9 p.m. I was there till like 10:30. Push days take longer than most usually because you're bench pressing, and then having to post content and having to take care of stuff at the house and just eating dinner at 11:30, like that's not fun. But and I have a bunch of dishes to do. Like, dude, I've been doing like all my cooking at home. I've been a slave to my dishes recently.
Oh, dude, the
Like,
dishes are the
just
worst part.
bro, it's never ending, and it just stacks up, and I'm like, "Holy fuck, like, when is this gonna stop?" And you think you get to a point where you have like, where you meal prepped enough food to have in the fridge, but, like, this morning, I'm like, "I wanna cook pancakes," so I cook pancakes, and then I have more dishes to do, so it's just this constant cycle of dishes. So
Yeah.
that's been my life the past couple weeks.
Hell yeah, brother. No, we talked less is more on your podcast a bit. And yeah, I've been slowing down a little bit too and kind of trying to evaluate what that looks like because switching from I need to do this to I get to do this was a big switch I changed to probably about a year ago. Just started with the gym, still kind of just at the gym. Like I need to go to the gym. It's like, no, man, I get to go to the gym and expressing kind of that gratitude that I'm even able to go to the gym. I'm able to record this podcast, all that fun stuff. Um,
I
it's and then the waking up, dude. I just changed that too. I used to wake up 8 o'clock. That because that's Jordan Peterson. It's like if you're depressed, wake up at 8 o'clock. Choose a time. Wake up at that every day. So I was doing that, and then, dude, after we started recording, or after we recorded, started watching Myron Golden, and
heard the
Myron
name.
same thing. He's like, dude, you think I'm just waking up at 5:30 every morning, going to the gym every morning? No, like I'm waking up whenever I wake up, don't have an alarm, wake up and start getting to work. That's it. And it's definitely a different change because for me, dude, it's different because I don't really get a set schedule because I ref hockey. When I ref hockey, it's late at night. Like last night, I didn't get home until 12. So I think,
I'm a soccer ref.
yeah. Oh hell yeah. Well, how about that? Yeah, so then you get home at midnight. It's wind down because I just skated for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is. Wind down, and then I don't know if I have to eat all that stuff. So then I'm not getting to bed till 1:30 and waking up. If I'm waking up at 8, dude, I don't know about this is a battle I've been facing. Is the how many hours of sleep should I get each night?
Mm. I
But
recently had a conversation with someone that was like, well, people stress about how many hours, 8 hours or whatever, but it's more about the quality of sleep, the deep sleep that you can access.
yeah, and I feel like my body wakes up when I'm done. Like I don't there's no reason to time this. I feel like my body knows more than my mind does in that aspect, and it'll just wake me up when I'm ready to be woken up. Like
Yeah,
I don't have to.
and the thing with that is like if you're stuck to responsibilities like a job or you're a student and you have to get up at a certain time, then you have to set that alarm and you have to get up at that
Mhm.
time. And so that's something that's been interesting to me. But kind of to bounce back what you talked about, like I get to do things. I recently have been telling myself like with the gym or like with jujitsu or content, like I have to do this. I have no other choice. If I'm trying to live this life that I want or I want to be this type of person, like I don't have an option really. Like I've just told
Mhm.
myself I don't have another choice. Like to not do it. It's just already done. It's already something that's going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
after my busy day, like I don't, I don't really want to go to the gym. It's late. I want to stay at home and just go to bed early. But I told myself before it even got to that point where I would have that, where I would bitch talk myself out of it. I said, I just don't have an option. I have to go.
Yeah, that's a good point. I I think I'm in the back of my mind, I know this is what I want to do, this is what I wanna be, and all of that, and then waking up and understanding that I don't know, I guess you're right, I have to do it, but I
Yeah.
also know it's what I want to do, so maybe I
It
change
just
it to
depends how
want.
you, no, it just depends how you look at it, too.
Yeah.
And it
That's
depends
the fun stuff
where
with
you
mental
are.
health, dude. You could go
Yeah.
online and look at all these 20 different people on what to do, when to do it, and all that fun stuff, but then I mean, it's been 3, 4 years since I started my journey, so now it's been 3 years. Now I'm refining it for myself. I'm not listening to so many other people. I think
Exactly.
that's pretty cool too, man. I don't know what to really compare it to. It's just you start I guess the gym. Once you do the gym, you kinda listen to other people for a couple years, try and figure out what to do, how to do it, what exercise hits what, and then finally, a couple years later, you're doing it for yourself. I'm refining it for myself, what my body wants to look like. That's the fun part about the gym, and now that's become the fun part about mental
Mm.
health for me too. But it's a little harder. It's like getting into the intermediate stage of skill, I guess.
Yeah, and so for me with the self-improvement thing, like jujitsu really helped with that, but my self-improvement journey didn't really 10x until I started hitting the gym because that's where you're working on yourself the most. You're simultaneously building the body that you need as a man, but also the mind and the person. So the person that is jacked and fit and strong is in here, in your mind different than the person you are in that moment. So in that moment, your current Steven or current Trevor, but what you're working toward is constructing a whole new person. So the person that I was when I started working out is a completely different person. And it's a whole philosophy that you can embrace because as you're destroying the muscle in your body to build stronger and newer muscle and bigger muscle, you're doing the same thing to yourself. You're breaking that version of yourself down and you're like dismantling all these ideas and concepts and thoughts that you had about yourself to build new ones because how are you going to hit that PR with just your muscles? You have to use your head. You have to go hype yourself up, but when you're on that bench, be like, let's go, you're gonna hit this, let's go,
Mhm.
right? It's that aspect of yourself that you're building too, and so that's for self improvement. If you're especially if you're a man, your self improvement journey is going to 10x when you get in the gym and you start working out.
Yeah, and not many people give like the lenient, like we were talking the little lazy side to things, and like cutting yourself some slack, the
Mhm.
lazy unquote, I guess I should say, and cutting yourself some slack. And one of the things that you could use to cut yourself some slack, and it's again a Myron Golden. It was the first video of his I ever watched, and that's what got me attracted to him. Was he said, "You're building this new person now." So I started, like I said, 3 years ago. I was 20. Birthday tomorrow, by the way.
Happy birthday, bro.
Yeah,
420. Oh
yeah,
my god.
yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Um, Birthday tomorrow, so 3 years from now, I was 23. So my self my old self has had 23 years on the new me who I'm building now. So I'm fighting the old me with just like if you just start now, I'm fighting 25 years, 26 years of this old way of life. And
Mm.
it's gonna win for a little bit. You're not gonna completely change in a year, 2 years, 3 years, but it's gonna win for a little bit. And you just have to I don't cut yourself some slack because that's I mean, people will get in their heads constantly because and we were talking about this, like I need to do more, I should be doing more. And that's what we see online. I do more, do more, do more, do more. More, less is more sometimes. So I don't know, just I never really cut myself some slack, and I think that's what got me in the beginning when I was a little suicidal. Was I was too focused on the future person I should be and the actions. If I didn't do something, if I didn't hit the gym, if I didn't read, if I didn't, whatever it was, that action would tear me up a little bit because I knew I was straying away from the future self I wanted to create.
I think cutting yourself slack is good because you'll get burnt out if not. You have to really listen to yourself. Your body's going to tell you things because you're not always going to be at this state of ascension. It's going to be
Mm,
waves. You have to really navigate the peaks and the troughs because you're going to go through phases where you feel untouchable and on fire and like you can just conquer the world. And then you're going to go through another phase where you just feel low energy and you just feel like shit and you don't want to do anything. And then you get sick and then you're like knocked off your path and you have to rediscover that. And so it's really important to just understand that and realize it's okay. And for me, that's been a challenge because I'm always so go, go, go. But then embracing the philosophy that less is more really lets you surrender to those things that come up and showing. And so, something also that came to my mind was this plan of longevity. I actually had someone on the podcast yesterday who is a very successful entrepreneur in the finance industry and was talking about how he had like a big, has big goals for himself, like any person would, right? And the way that he's able to navigate this and achieve his goals is having a plan of longevity. So he started with a 10-year plan, but now he has a 100-year plan. And if you have a 100-year plan and you know that at the end of this 100 years that you're going to be leaving a legacy behind that's great and awesome, you're not going to be in a rush. And he was talking about the spectrum between um hold on, I have it pulled up right here. He was talking about a spectrum between dragging and racing or rushing, and then in the middle you have on pace. So if you have a 100-year
mm.
plan, if you're planning have a plan of longevity, you're going to always be on pace.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I was just gonna say, I would argue those little dips. Some people would say that's not you at your 100%. Those dips are a part of the 100%. That's 100% being or going after your goal. So if
And that's
100%
all
being
part of
on
the
pace.
plan. Like,
Yeah,
you don't know it, but that's part of the plan.
yeah, yeah. Interesting. I never thought of the 100-year plan because I mean, not many people do. You're not
Go
gonna
go
typically not
back
gonna
and
be
listen
here.
go back and listen to that podcast.
Yeah, and I'm in his DMs too. Yeah, Wolf, right?
Yeah, you know Wolf?
Yeah, well, Caleb shot me over to him.
Okay,
So
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah,
um,
good guy, genuine guy. Yeah,
yeah, good, great,
his
genuine
favorite
guy.
color is purple too, so it goes with your show. We were
Yes,
both wearing purple shirts by coincidence yesterday on the podcast. So when we got out, I was like, "Oh, nice shirt, bro."
sir. Purple's legit, dude. I just bought a purple hat yesterday, 15
Yeah,
bucks. Nice Air
yeah,
Jordan hat.
yeah. Purple is cool, man. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, dude, is there anything you're struggling with now? Like, or actually, we'll go into the past because we talked about now. So I typically ask, like I told you, I typically ask who you were in high school and what your kind of home life was. So a lot of people that come on here and struggle, or 2 episodes ago, had on Francis. His home life was brutal. His high school life was brutal, and that's what led him down the bad path he was down. And that's, I mean, it makes sense. That's what if you start low and you just keep going lower, 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 whatever this base is, that sets you up for your future, and then you kind of grow into an adult and you got to restructure your base. So what was kind of your base in in high school as a kid and your family life?
Yeah. I mean, I'll go ahead and say now that I was really fortunate to have the home life that I had. I mean, by no way, shape, or form was it perfect. My parents are divorced, so I didn't grow up in a perfect household, like where the family's together and you guys all hang out as a family, and like do all that stuff, like Christmas pajama photos. Like that wasn't my family. We kind of
Ah,
just
that's
like,
us, dude. Still us.
yeah, yeah. Whenever we had dinner, like we would just stand and eat, like casual type shit, or like I would eat dinner because I was about to go to soccer practice, and then they would eat later, or something like that. It just That's how my family was, and um, I grew up going to my grandparents' house every Saturday. We spend Me and my sister would spend the night and go to church in the morning. And looking back on it, I am beyond lucky to have spent all those weekends with them because, and I talked about this on the podcast with Wolf, is like the time with family is invaluable.
Mhm.
But with in my even growing up when my parents were married, so I would grow up with before started school, going to school as a kid. My dad would work at night. My mom would work during the day. She was a teacher. My dad would is in the restaurant business. So I grew up spending a lot of time with my dad during those first couple years. Then when I went to school, it was like, you know, my dad was there when I got off the bus and stuff, but he just was going to work at evenings. So I didn't really spend lots of time with my dad, but we have a great relationship. I have a great relationship with both my parents and my sister. But it's just the fact that, he was working. So I was with my mom
Mhm.
a lot. And so I'm more of a mama's boy. Right. And so what that means for me is like I never was had that like masculinity instilled in me until later on. uh, and so growing up, I was just never confident in myself. I never ever ever had confidence. Something I still struggle with, like the hesitation, right? Like
Mhm.
sometimes being a little hesitant, or just never not being confident in myself. And it's like elementary school, middle school, high school. So middle school comes around. I never really fit in with the cool kids, right? I played soccer, but I wasn't ever as good as the rest of the people. So like the other soccer kids would like just leave me out and not really
Mhm.
include me or just think less of me. And I felt like I had to appeal to them, and I just felt like, yeah, I just didn't fit in. And so um I tried to be someone I wasn't, but that didn't work. So I went to a different high school. I still struggled with like low self-esteem and stuff, like just being insecure and low self-confidence. that's kind of how it was for me in high school.
Yeah. No,
Even
I'm with you. It's
and like,
interesting because I'm right along with you. Pretty much everything you're
yeah,
saying.
and I just was angry, angry. I just had lots of anger for some reason, just this built up tension. And actually, my best friend, I remember we were hanging out one time and we were just talking. And he's like, you're probably the most tense person I know. And like, I was like, wow. Like, he wasn't trying to say that to be mean, but
Mhm.
like, that stuck with me. I was like, wow, he is right. Like, when my shoulders are always tense, I just am always in that, like, it's always like that for me. And so in high school, yeah, I was just angry, insecure. Um, I had friends too. Like I did fine with that. Like I said, like me and my dad are close. Me and my mom were close. Me and my sister got really close when COVID happened. We just weren't like super close because of the age difference between us and like the boy girl dynamic. But when
Mhm.
COVID happened, we spent a lot of time together because we were home, still in high school, and so I guess where we can say that stuff kind of started to change for the betters when I started jujitsu because you just learn a lot about yourself and your capabilities and you start like a self-improvement type of thing because you just want to get better. And I mean, dude, I got addicted to it and I still am. And so yeah, I mean, we are now 3 years later, and so I'm almost done with college. I have 1 year left. I've hired I got into the self-improvement thing, so that means like gym and getting ready, getting
Mhm.
like good with your networks and getting healthy. So then I hired a fitness coach that I met through one of the networks, and he just helped me with like the becoming a new person philosophy from the gym. And that really helped my confidence. But like even today, man, like dude, yesterday I was just like for some reason I was just looking in the mirror, like battling with myself with like the body dysmorphia, dude. And it's just something that
Mm.
yeah, something I still like go back and forth with. Today, like today, for example, I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh fuck, yeah, hell yeah, dude. But like
You're
last
looking
night,
good.
yeah, last night I'm in the gym and I'm like, fuck, dude, like fuck, bro. God.
It's crazy
Right?
how that it's like a flip of a switch.
Yeah, and it's something that I go back and forth with all the time, man. And I think that's what you spoke about earlier. Just you have all this what were you 23 years of programming, but you're 26 now, and you are still trying to build this new person. But it's not going to be that easy because you have all those years of that programming. So it's this programming that I'm still trying to deconstruct and build new things. And so while I'm in the gym, I'm going back and forth between this body dysmorphia thing, man. And I'm like, just thinking about how I need to like literally brainwash myself to have this confidence. Like I wasn't born with it. I didn't have anyone to instill the
Mhm.
confidence in me. It's just something that like I'm working on building. And honestly, it's a blessing in disguise because you're figuring out a skill and you're figuring out how to do it yourself. And it takes more time, but I'm not really worried about it. It's just something that I work on and that I'm conscious about. So that's kind of how my house home life was. It was by no means perfect, but by no means terrible.
Okay, and well, you're 21?
Yeah, just turned
21?
21.
Okay. Nice. Nice. No, man, that's, I didn't have divorced parents. My parents are still together, so that's
And you guys take
divorced parents.
pajama Christmas photos.
Yes, we do, man. It's not just pajama, it's matching. Every year it's a match. We have a theme, and it started, Blackhawks in 2015 because they won the cup. 2016, the Cubs won, so we did a Cubs one. And then it's just ever since then. But then it was like USF or UCF because my brother went there. Next year was Army because I went Army. Next year was USF because my sister went there. Then it was Mickey Mouse. I don't even remember what this year was, but yeah, it's. I mean, that's a cool thing to be a part of. I will say.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. Like we have our own thing that we do as a family and
Right.
stuff, but yeah, it's just the way I grew up, it was different.
I mean, yeah, we didn't always grow up that way. That started, 20 when I
Yeah,
graduated
yeah,
high
for
school,
sure. But yeah, I get what you're trying to say.
but yeah, so that's not a thing. Not a thing I struggled with the divorced parents, but that's I mean, it's on the rise. It's what,
Yeah, dude,
50 to 60%
yeah,
of
it's something
marriages are.
that's a real issue.
Yeah,
And
is there any like what just to dive into that, we'll go back to a couple other things,
sure,
but
sure, yeah.
is there any what was the kind of like the first thought you had when you found out they were getting divorced? What was that kind of story? Because people, I mean, my girlfriend has divorced parents, and it's been a constant battle back and forth between the parents, and then this parent says this about this parent,
Mm.
and then it just kind of back and forth. Did you have was Were they good with each other? Um, and what was there any thoughts of like this is my fault or anything? Because that's what I hear a decent bit when people tell me their parents are divorced. It's like they felt they had a role to play in it. Was there any like
Mm.
that?
So I kind of saw it coming, and I actually didn't think it was my fault. My my parents had their own problems to deal with,
Mhm.
and I mean, we were just I mean, we're their kids. So they had their own thing. They never really got along. Like I mean, of course they get along, but like they never like acted like how probably like what you think a husband and wife would like get
Mhm.
along as, you know what I mean? So like I grew up with them sleeping in separate rooms. That was just how it was. And like I just
Wow.
thought, yeah, I just thought that's how it was. Like, you know, and my dad worked late anyways. So I always thought, oh, like my dad doesn't want to wake up my mom. Whatever.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, I saw it coming. Actually, it was it was the opposite of like the kids being the reason so of getting divorced. Like they were separated, and so he still lived in the house for, like, 2 years after he, like, lived with us 2 or 3 years after they decided to, like, separate themselves from each other to keep the family together, and we still, like, hung out as a family. We would go to the movies, and, like, we would do, like,
Mhm.
Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that good stuff, and then they ended up, like, telling us eventually, and so I mean, I saw it coming. I mean, it sucked in the moment, but I saw it coming. And after that, really, I mean, not much changed. I mean, he like moved out of the house. Like that's what's gonna happen. Like, and like
Mhm.
it felt weird, but then I was like, okay, like it's not like I mean, not
Yeah,
much.
it wasn't like a big falling out or anything crazy.
No, no, and like literally, my dad's birthday was on Wednesday. And
Oh,
so I called my sister, then we both hopped on a FaceTime call with him, and then my sister was, like, chilling with my mom, so we all had, like, a family, like talk on the
okay.
phone, but it was, like, normal, like, my dad was making fun of my mom, and, like, it was like that, like, just, cutting up and
Okay.
having fun together, um,
Now,
so
do
yeah.
you see that? How does that go into your romantic, like your relationships now? Have you seen a picture of what a relationship should be, how it should be? Because that's a big thing when this comes along too. So my girlfriend right now, like I said, divorced parents, and never was really taught, trained, I guess, like how a relationship would be. She had to look it up, find out. And she has a friend that is going through the same thing. She doesn't know how it should be. So if you're getting abused or you're getting like something, this guy's treating you wrong, this girl's treating you wrong, you don't really know. Do you have that any of that like trickling into your life now?
I mean, of course, you have like the cringy middle school relationships and stuff where like you're like obsessed
Yeah.
with this one chick and you're like, yeah. But like
Yeah.
in high school, I mean, I feel like I've just always intuitively known how a relationship should be because I'm just
Okay.
such like like that's just my personality. I definitely, from what I've seen with them, like I definitely know what a relationship shouldn't be. And now that I'm older, I know that I need to really know what I want in a future wife because you really want to be sure before you get yourself involved. And so for me, I just it's just always something that I was good at was just knowing how to be like good to somebody.
Now, have you written down, I think episode 64 we had Vegas on, he's from X. And have you written down that woman you want to be with? Like
I've
the
written it
future
down
wife?
very extensively and very
Dude,
detailed.
that's so awesome, and I it's so incredible because I did the same thing. So Steven told me he did it, and it's like the day after, or not Steven, sorry, you're Steven. Vegas told me he did it, and the day after he found his girlfriend.
I mean, that's fucking
When
crazy. I wrote mine down like 3 months ago, and probably more than
you're
3
like
months ago.
still patiently waiting.
I'm like, "All right, bro, like, what God, when we gonna make something
Come
happen,
on.
man?" But I kinda did I will say, I kinda did screw myself over because, like, I'm really into, like, Latina Portuguese girls. I'm like, "Okay, this girl
Uh-oh.
speaks a le romance language probably too and is from a different country." So, like, I kinda screwed myself over, but, like,
Yeah, you
it's
gotta
okay.
like go there for that.
Yeah, 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 or, like, find one here. So but maybe I
Yeah.
should move to Miami. I'll probably have a better chance.
Hey, there you go, dude. Miami's a mess, but
Yeah, yeah, but sorry, enough to cut out. Go ahead.
no, you're good. No, you're good. Because then I did it after that podcast about a week later. Ran in, she wasn't my girlfriend at the time, but went to the coffee shop. She asked me my favorite music. After she asked me my favorite music, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write like this. This was intriguing enough for me to write it down. And then she became my girlfriend like 4 days later. So
Dude, that's
it's like I
crazy.
don't know. It's like a superpower almost. Like anybody who talks about their future wife or what they want, and it's really only people that see that end vision. Like my
How
brother
much
doesn't really have too many end visions and goals. I
Yeah.
guarantee you he has not written this down. He's barely thought about it. And it's one of the most important things to think about over my business, over anything else, really, is who do I want to spend the rest of my life with? And for me, dude, to not write that down is kind of insane to me.
How
And I can't
how
believe it took so
detailed
long.
did you make it? I probably went about 3 pages in my journal.
Oh no, dude. I don't know. Do I have it here? No, it wasn't that detailed. It was one page and bullet points. It wasn't
Okay.
I didn't want to get too
Maybe I
detailed
should
because that's
rethink it
yeah,
'cause I'm, like,
I didn't
so
want to get too
obsessive like that.
detailed, bro.
Dude,
I get
I'm like that. I'm just like that. I get obsessed about one thing, so I'll, like, dial down dial down in it like
yeah.
that. It's just my
Yeah,
OCD.
but, what you said about your parents, your parents' relationship is figuring out what you don't want.
Yeah, I saw, like, how a relationship should work for sure.
Right, and
I don't
that's
think I've probably seen them I think I saw them kiss one time.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Crazy.
No, I've seen it, like, every day.
Yeah,
My
it just didn't happen.
you learn I realized this in the army real quick. You learn the most from the worst leaders. Like, that they teach me the most. So it's interesting that you got that and kinda turn it around, and it's even my parents weren't the worst, but the things they didn't do, I
Mm.
know I want to do. It's
Yeah,
harder to point out the things they did do and I wanna do.
and I just always like I guess because I'm a mama's boy, I just like to have the extra attention, but I just know like how I want to be loved and how
Mhm.
I should love other people. It's just something that I just know. And some
Yeah, dude,
people
I wish I
struggle with
just
that.
knew.
Some
I've
people
gotta figure
struggle
it
with that.
out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something I wish I knew. I'm still working on it. There is that book, 5 Love Languages. I'm not too sure what mine is. I think mostly affirmation and what is it, personal touch.
Mm. Mine's
Um,
definitely touch. I'm like such a touchy
yeah,
person.
yeah.
Um,
But that's what I was gonna touch on with the body dysmorphia you mentioned, is that's what cured mine, was a girl who saw my body better than how I saw it, and she
I've
would
had that
say it.
too, where it's
Yeah.
like like my ex-girlfriend, she's like, "You're the hottest guy I've ever seen." I'm like, "Dude, are you stupid?"
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Like, "Shut
okay.
up." But then she's like, "I'm being serious." Like, "Oh, if you're being serious, thanks."
Yeah. Yeah, it's slowly changed. I still deal with it now, but and then
Yeah,
the next thing
that's
with that
good.
was kind of I know it's not right to compare all the time, I guess, but realizing that in physique wise and health wise, dude, we're probably top 2% of males.
I have also thought about that,
Yeah.
where it's like, "Bro, I'm trying to get jacked, and I'm not jacked like that." Right?
Uh-huh.
But if you go out into the world and you just observe people and especially like, focus on your age category and your gender, you're like, oh my, you just think, oh my God, like these people don't even go to the gym.
No, dude.
So
Dude, I could they probably couldn't tell me the last time they ate chicken and rice.
yeah, or it's like just like if you look at other people and like not like you're judging people, but you just look at other people and you observe what they're what they look like. I just realized, oh my God, I'm so lucky that I have like my hair is not balding, that I have a good smile, that I am not super short or super tall.
Yep.
Like
Average.
I just
I'm with it.
I'm yeah, like I'm good. Like it's okay, and it's hard because like the self comparison thing, it sucks, man. And that's something that I struggle with too. That came from middle school when I was comparing myself to all the kids that were good at soccer and all the popular kids that like were cool, and I was like, well, I'm not like them. I don't fit in with them. What the hell? Uh, and so that's just something that subconsciously. That's another thing. All that programming that I
Hmm.
that I went through is something that I'm still working on deconstructing. Uh, so it's
Yeah,
it's
I
tough
was
one.
big on comparing too because it was like you, dude. I didn't fit in really anywhere. It was so the hockey. I was part of the hockey team, and I was I was the best on the team. I had a couple of my buddies that were pretty good, but I was the only one that cared for hockey. I guess you could say like they were good, but I was the one going home watching hockey games with my family and all that stuff. So I knew the game more. I was more on the better end of the team and didn't really hang out with anybody because I don't really know why I didn't hang out with anybody on the hockey team. Not too sure. But then when we get to high school, so I played baseball growing up too. I didn't hang out with those guys either. Those guys I saw as too cool for me. I don't know why.
Mm.
They kind of had that aura to them anyway, so it wasn't just me saying it. They did kind of carry
There's something
themselves that
about
way.
baseball players.
Dude, yeah, I think so because I
Yeah.
seen it everywhere. They're
I never
just
got on with the
cool.
wrestlers like that either. I was like, not that I was maybe in a way I was jealous of the wrestlers because they were all ripped and they were just cool like that. But yeah, they just I didn't vibe with them like that
And
either.
they had their own little clique. So I didn't vibe with
Yeah.
them. Didn't really vibe too much with the hockey team. And I was in the smart classes in high school, the IB program. So I was taking all the AP classes and like diving in. And that was not who I was, dude. No way. So I was in the classes with like the more intelligent, nerdy people. And I didn't fit in with them either. Because I'm who I am now, dude.
You're
I'm
like
happy
the
go lucky. Like,
athlete in the IB program.
yeah, bro. And then so I ended up finding my little group, and it was the computer people because I played computers. But the computer people ended up resenting me because I was the athlete, the good looking dude. Like, picture the average computer nerd. That's what like the group of 10 people was, and then it was me. And I'm not
Yeah.
the average computer nerd. So now they're like, I wasn't shy in school. I'm talking to everybody. They're all shy. Like it was so I never found anywhere to fit in. And I came across it was like quit trying. It was an onion. And instead of one of the onion cloves, it was a piece of orange. It was an
Mm,
orange slice. It's like quit trying to fit into what you're not supposed to fit into. You're constantly
mm.
trying to fit in, and what for what? You don't. This isn't how it works. So it took me a while of that deconstructing the programming to realize I don't have to fit in anywhere, and that was the coolest part about going to the army because you don't have to fit in. We're all the same. Like in the army's eyes, we're all the same. So there's nothing we have to do to fit in. Sure, there's people that you don't like, people you do like, but dude, in basic training, there wasn't really any cliques. It was we're all together. We're all from different walks of life. You got the 6'8" dude from Jamaica, then you got the 5'4" chick from Kentucky. Like you got every walk of life in there. So it was pretty nice to not have to fit in. Have you what did college kind of help you out with that? How did you kind of get over that?
Oh, that's a tough one, man, because I'm not like the normal student in the sense that I'm just gonna get a degree in business and then go work a job
Mhm.
somewhere for some dead like dead end job. Like, sorry, not me. And when college started, like, it took me a while to make friends in the dorms, but I did, and we were close. We went to the beach, we watched basketball games in the dorm, and we hung out, and it was fun. And then that following year, we hung out a lot. But when I got into the self improvement thing, I realized like I can't be friends with these guys if I want to.
Yeah.
And so we don't really hang out anymore. It's kind of sad, but um, I just don't fit in with them anymore. I like ran into them outside of the gym one time and just talking to them. Like I still love them. I would do like if they called me because they had a flat tire on the road, I'll go. Dude,
Yeah.
I'll do that for you. If you need a ride somewhere, if you're like drunk downtown, like you need a ride, and no one else will, dude, I'll do it. But the um yeah, something just fell off with their energy, and like I always care for them. I mean, one of them, they don't they don't lately like hit me up anymore, but one of them hit me up. He was like, "Hey, bro, can you do me a favor?" I was like, "What's up, bro?" And he was like, "I'm doing this thing for my class and for my internship or whatever, and I need to ask you a couple questions. Can you hop on a call?" I was like, "Absolutely, bro, absolutely."
Mhm.
And like, he only hit me up to do that, not ask me how I was, not ask me what I'm doing, not ask me if I want to hang out. Just hop on a call and answer some questions. Like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
But like that's just I'm not fitting in with them. Like, okay, I don't care. So what goes on now is like, well, trying to navigate the college thing while also being like a conscious person and build like a tribe, and it's hard.
Mhm.
And you don't really fit in if you're gonna live this kind of life.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's a
so
good point. Yeah.
so you just it's a sacrifice you have to make. And so, everyone is like, "Oh, we're gonna go to the bars. We're gonna go out. We're gonna go party. We're gonna do this." And so, you literally ask people, "Hey, well, what do you like to do for fun?" "I like to go out."
Like, all right.
"Cool."
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like it's whatever. But yeah. So in my head, it's. I feel like, at least for me, I have I have to be a leader in the sense that a lot of people are gonna make choices that aren't for the planning for longevity, right? So what I'm doing is leading by example and being that light for people, because some people are just following the crowd. A lot of people are followers and they're just going to follow
Mhm.
what a lot of people are doing. So for me to stand out that way, I'm hoping that people will see what I'm doing and resonate with that and want to be like that. So yesterday I was on campus in between classes. I don't know if you saw my Instagram story, but I posted a picture of my lunch and I was like, "Bring your lunch to school." And it was just a salad I tossed together in the glass container, right? And yeah, and then my friend was walking past me. I was like, "Yo, what's up, bro?" So I called him out. He walked over to me. He's like, "Bro, what do you got there? You have what? Is that quinoa? You have greens? Cucumber, bro? What are you doing?" I was like, "Got my lunch, bro." And he was holding Panda Express in his bag. And I was like, "Yeah, man. I just I don't really eat on campus, so I just wanted to bring my lunch. I love this shit, dude." And I was like, I had like greens hanging out of my mouth, like quinoa, like dropping, like, dude, this is so good. And he was like, "Yeah, bro, yeah." And he was like, "Yeah, eating this kind of makes you gain some weight," but grabbed his belly a little bit, and I was like, yeah, a little bit." And then he had the bag in his hand, brought it up, looked at it for a second, and it was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, I just got him to think. I just planted
Yeah.
a seed." And he was like, "Well, all right, bro. Well, I'm gonna go meet my girlfriend now." And I was like, "All right, man. Well, have a good rest of your day, bro." And like, I walked away, and I was like, I felt good about that because I wasn't like everybody else. I like
Mhm.
I brought my salad to school. Like, I literally had the dressing in the like water bottle socket side thing, whatever. Like I'm that dude, okay? And like I hope that I planted a seed in his head so he would think about when he's eating the Panda Express and he's eating the fried chicken, the seed
Mhm.
oil, right? In the plastic container. Wow, Stephen brought his food to school. Wow. And he didn't spend any money doing it. Not
Yeah. Yeah. One thing they taught us in the army when I went through special ops was there's chiefs and Indians. Not everybody needs to be a chief. And if everybody was a chief, we'd all just clash anyways. But that was the problem in spec ops training was, I mean, we're all there because we kind of are all chiefs. So we had to try and fit in to be an Indian for a little bit. And then, when we got done with training 6 weeks, we back to being the chief. But that's what kind of builds your confidence when you do stuff like that. When, I don't, I'm not the most self-confident person either, but when my little brother, he sees me eating good. He knows I have the knowledge for eating right. He knows that I'm more holistic and knows what's good for you. he runs into an issue, he could hit me up and ask me, hey, dude, I'm getting extra acne. I don't want to go to the dermatologist because they don't work anyways. What do I do? And now I'm able to give the answer because he knows he could come to me. So being that leader is the way we fit in.
Yeah, bro.
And leadership is lonely, dude. If there's one thing the army taught me, man, leadership is so
I
lonely.
tell you that twice over, man. Well,
Yeah.
let me tell you this. So I have a buddy, met him at the gym because last year because he was working out, no music, no phone, writing down his workouts. I do the same thing. No music, no phone, write down my workouts. So in between our sets, I go up to him like, "Yeah, so bro, you writing down your workouts too?" He was like, "Yeah, yeah, I got this program I'm following." I'm like, "It's cool, bro. Yeah, I noticed you don't got your phone or anything." He was like, "Yeah, yeah, no phone in the gym, no phone in the gym." I'm like, "Bro, you should come to my cold plunge tomorrow because I was hosting a cold plunge." And he was like, "Yeah, bro. All right, let's go. Yeah, yeah." So I got his number down, and we've been friends since. So we're like super close. He's one of my best friends, and like really glad I met him because he's in the self improvement thing. He wants to make lots of money. He does Cutco sales. It's the direct sales. I don't know if
Okay.
you know what Cutco is, but you sell kitchen knives. It's direct sales. You make
Okay. Yeah.
40% commission. Good model. Um, and so but he still likes to party. Like whatever. You're in college, bro. Like I'm not gonna. I don't. I really try not to judge people. Like you are judged by the stick at which you judge others. And so that's something that I've been working on too. Because if you're in the self improvement thing, it's really like you could stand on the mountaintop and look down upon it. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy.
And you really can't if you want people to follow you. That's not part of leadership.
Exactly. Exactly. And so he's like, "Yeah, bro, we're having an apartment party for a birthday. You're welcome to drop by." I'm like, "All right, bro. I would love to drop by." Because being social is important too. If you don't fit in,
Hmm.
whatever. So I go there and I'm like, "Well, I don't want to go there and just not drink." So I had a kombucha in the fridge. I'm like, all right, I'll take this.
Hmm.
Took the kombucha and I'm drinking the kombucha at the party, just introducing myself to other people, talking about like surfing and school, whatever. And people are like, "Yo, do you want a drink or something, bro?" I'm like, I'm good, man. I got this right here." I'm like, "Oh, what is that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just like a fermented tea. It's nothing really." It's like, "Oh, got alcohol in it?" Like, "No, not really." They're like, "Oh, okay." And like it's like if you just watch the try and compute in their brain like that you're not participating, but you're still there and you're like drinking and then like people start to ask you questions about yourself like so why don't you drink, bro? I'm like, I just don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like some people remember that. And then like I showed up to the next apartment party and they're like, this time I just brought water, but this time they're just like doing a drinking game and they're like, "All right, we're gonna do this drinking game. We're all gonna get fucked up." And I'm like, all right, I'll get super hydrated. So I'm like, it's like this drinking game or whatever. It's like I don't even remember what it was, but like you're just supposed to drink. And so like everyone has their turn where they're drinking. And like me, I'm just sipping on my water. I'm chugging my water. And like it's just the funniest thing ever. And so like for me, it's just I hope that those people will remember what I did because then for them like that one seed planted. And actually, my friend who invited me and that I'm close with, he that night that I was drinking water in the drinking game, he texted me the next morning. He was like, "Bro, I never want to drink again. I feel like shit." And I was like, "Yeah, bro, get
Dude,
on
I'm
the
hitting
wave,
the gym
man."
right now.
Yeah, it was the funniest thing ever because, like, I showed up and like he's in the self improvement thing. So it's like me holding him accountable too. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, bro, come on.
Yeah. That's I'll never ask anyone why they don't drink because there's a reason typically. Like for me, I was alcoholic in the army. When I came home, I was hanging out with my brother who drank, and it was constantly over and over again. Why don't you drink? Anywhere I went, why don't you drink? It's like I don't want to. Well, why don't you want to? And they would try and get at me some way, like what's wrong? What's wrong with me?
Yeah, right.
Like, dude, there's plenty wrong with me, but I don't drink. Like, don't even worry about it. I'm not drinking. But yeah, dude, it's lonely because I don't know. It's you. I mean, we've realized we don't fit in, and now if you're leading, people are following. So they're looking up to you. You can't look down on them. And you're in this little, like you said, this little self-improvement circle box, whatever you want to put yourself in, all alone with no one to really talk to unless you find them online. There's not many people you run into that are doing this just because it's so oddball, out of the ordinary.
And
Like,
because it requires so much grit and discipline and it's uncomfortable and it's a commitment and you have to be consistent and you want more and you delay gratification and you suffer in the moment and it hurts and it sucks and it's lonely. And people don't want that. I do it. Oh my god, like if you told me I would be into this like my senior year of high school, I'd be like, The fuck?"
dude, get out of my face, bro. I
Yeah,
don't want to
right?
talk about this.
Yeah, right? It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And like I'll be straight up with you. It sucks sometimes because it's lonely and it's hard. This is it's not easy. But
No.
to me, it's I don't have a choice. I don't have another option. It's only this. And
Today's episode is sponsored by Honor Guard Coffee. Owner is Steven. He was on episode 57 with us, so go check him out if you'd like. Know what you're thinking? Another coffee brand, and I'm here to tell you to stop thinking that. This coffee brand was made to support veterans, and we can't pass that up. With 25% of the proceeds going towards veterans, the mission of Honor Guard Coffee is simple. Pair each veteran with a service dog. On top of that, each blend is named after a service animal that actually served, including their breakfast blend, Cairo, the Belgian Malinois, there on the Bin Laden raid. Think of Black Rifle Coffee Company, but with more help towards veterans, a better taste, and dogs. We all love dogs, so you gotta love this company. Look, I'm just a regular coffee guy typically, drinking the same old garbage from Walmart. And let me tell you, if you're that guy, give this one try. Just one try, and you'll never want to go back to Walmart again to get that garbage coffee. Like I said, the owner, Steven, was on our show, episode 57. He's an ex-Marine, struggled through his fair share of mental health, and is just looking to make a change. With us supporting him and him supporting us, we couldn't be more proud to align our mission with his and have him as our first sponsor. Thank you, Honor Guard Coffee. The link is in the description below if you'd like to try some. Now back to the podcast.
I feel that way because number 1, I started number 1 first and foremost, it's what God is telling me to do. And number 2, it's because I started. And number 3, there are people that are watching me. And there are people hoping that I fail, and there are people hoping that I succeed because they don't know if they can do it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that are watching you wanting you to fail are wanting you to fail because they're insecure about themselves, whether they believe that or not, because they're unhappy with it where they are and they're comfortable being where they are because they know it's uncomfortable to grow and they see me doing the hard shit to be better. And
Mm-hmm.
it's the crabs in a bucket theory. They don't want you to do good. They're going to bring you back down to being the bucket. And then the people that are watching you hoping you succeed because they don't know how to do it themselves, they're watching you because they want to see how you did it. And they're going to come to you and say, "Hey, I'm stuck with this." I'm like, "Bro, do this." Or
Yeah,
there's
you get to be
people,
the leader then. Yeah.
yeah, and there's people that want you to succeed because they care about you, right? I want you to win, bro. I think you would want me to win. And I never saw a hater who won. They're
Yeah.
losers.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody hating is just, yeah, losers.
Like
Like,
hate
simply
on
put.
someone and you'll lose. Hate on someone and you'll lose. If you want everybody to win, everyone around you to win, you're going to win because
Yeah.
you're
There's,
going to you're going to be attuned to that frequency cuz you're thinking about everyone winning, and you're going to be surrounding yourself with other people who are winning. So what happens when you surround yourself with other people? You become like them. If you surround yourself with a bunch of alcoholics, guess what? You're going to start drinking too. If you surround yourself with a bunch of soccer fans, guess what's going to happen? You're going to become a soccer fan too. So if you surround yourself with people who win, you're going to win too.
Yeah.
That's what's so hard about being a leader, and that's what's so hard about fitting in, because not everybody cares about winning.
Yeah. Yeah. Very well put, man. Very well put.
Yeah, that's God.
It's
That's not me.
yes, sir. No, so
Just say that.
actually, we'll leeway right into that because so for me, we'll go in. Oh man, my chair just broke. Now look,
Oof.
all chair broke.
Fix your
It keeps
posture, bro.
breaking.
Sit up straight now.
I have. So what happened there is I leaned on my armrest and it broke off the back. So I was sitting up. No, so we'll go into the little religious journey here because
Yeah, let's do it, bro. I'm all in for
mine.
this. I think it's so
Uh,
important.
yeah, I think this is the most important thing for me in my self improvement journey, hands down. I mean, there's nothing that compares to this when getting rid of my depression, anxiety, and really all the weight on my shoulders. Um, so just real quick, my religious journey, then we'll go into yours because I'm definitely curious, especially knowing that you went to church growing up with your grandparents and all that. So I did not. I went to church once as a kid. There was 4 of us kids. They dressed us all nice up. It took the whole Sunday morning. Then we went to church, and it wasn't the best. We were just kind of sitting there, hanging out, nothing going on. No one really knew what to do. My parents, aren't too religious, so they don't really know. And it was just too much for my parents. They worked 2, 3 jobs each, so we didn't really do that on Sundays. They may be working on Sundays, who knows? So we kind of fell off. We only did it once. And my grandma, I want to say, was Lutheran. I'm not too sure on the denominations, not sure what that means yet. I'm still new to this. And so she kind of planted the seed very young that everything happens for a reason. And I didn't really know what that meant. I just started to believe it because that's what she said. I didn't know if there's someone playing a role in it or if it's just how life was. That's what until I became religious, that's what I saw life was. Everything just happens for a reason. So when I got divorced, wasn't religious still. Everything happens for a reason. There's a reason. I'll figure it out. Just trust the process pretty much. So about a year ago now, I posted a Twitter thread about my journey through church for the past year and what I've learned because it's getting pretty close to a year. The seed was planted by my grandma, and then my co-host Kevin, he was my leader in the army. He was planning it, but he was brand new to the journey as well at that time, and he was planning it in my head at work. We'll get off 3 p.m. on a Friday, and he'll say that's the good Lord looking out. And he constantly used that phrase, good Lord's looking out, good Lord's looking out, good Lord's looking out. So that kind of ended up getting stuck in my head when I reach a failure or whatever happened. I'd run into an issue. So I ended up just going to church, found a church, and it all kind of aligned very well. The church was finding a new location because of COVID and all that fun stuff. And they ended up actually, I went to this school down here in Florida. My high school senior year was 5A high school. I went there, and they were actually giving, that's where their location was in the high school cafeteria. So after 5, 6 years, I ended up back in this high school, but instead of being the little piece of garbage I was in high school, I was going to better myself in church. So that was like a big sign to me. I was a little worried about the shoes I was wearing, Jordan 1s, and just kind of in my head about that. Finally on the drive there, I'm like, you know what, forget it. Doesn't even matter. Walk in, and the pastor's wearing them too. So I'm like, all right, everything's kind of lining up. And now I'm full force into church. It took a while. I was back and forth on believing the story of Jesus, back and forth on believing this is the right God. It was just it was hard because the people around me weren't church people. I didn't grow up with church people. I still don't talk to many church people. And the community I ran into a church person, John Cedar. I'll leave his link in the description below because now he started putting out content for church. And I had this idea that church was full of people that were delusional almost. Um, Delusional. Church just wants my money. And the only thing that really comes of it is people end up kind of in a cult like scenario where they're talking to each other and not really getting better. I had 2 people that I knew went to church. My grandma went to church. She was more of a religious person. And then my ex-wife, she had a tattoo I can't remember what they call them, a verse, tattoo of a verse on her arm. And she was not not the best person to be spreading that message. She misrepresented Christianity a lot. So tainted my view, ended up going to church. Now I'm a year in, and it's been an incredible journey. So I'm still fairly new. I still don't know everything. I will say the one thing that really, really helped was watching The Chosen. Incredible TV series. It's free. They got it. You just type in The Chosen TV on Google for the listeners, and you'll free. Just go watch it. It's incredible. Um, but yeah, man, I want to know, did you stray away from church? How was church growing up? Did you stray away from it and come back? Because that seems like what's happening when I talk to people who are religious now. They kind of lose it in high school or something, lose it in college a little, and then go back to it. And then what has it done for you in your life that's just noticeable? It's a complete difference.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go ahead and say this now. I would consider myself more spiritual than Christian, but I grew up in the church. Grew up in a huge mega church in Charlotte, North Carolina. So big church in the South, like mega church, huge, ginormous. Um, I didn't resonate with the pastor there. I didn't really have much experience in like the youth. I went to VBS growing up, then went to a different church in a middle school. It was like a new age church. The pastor was cool. Um, he ended up getting fired because copywriting services sermons. Uh, youth pastors came and went. Never have solidified a relationship with the youth pastor because they were gone within a year. Went to church camp growing up. Never really. I read my Bible here and there. I think the Bible is a fantastic book. The wisdom in there and reading Jesus'
Mm.
teachings, something that I still think about. But I definitely need to spend more time like reading scripture as a whole. But yeah, I kind of just stepped away from it. COVID happened, so everything was on TV. So with my grandparents, we just throw it on the TV. Um, I haven't been to a church service besides Christmas or Easter in a long time. I feel a calling to try it out. Uh, I'll get to that in a minute, but I started training jujitsu when I moved to college at a different gym because I moved away from home, and I met one of the coaches has a yoga studio. I tried out his yoga studio, and yoga's cool. And I found out that they were doing a yoga retreat in Costa Rica over the summer, and I was like, say less. I'm trying to go practice Spanish, Costa Rica, food,
Yeah, I'm
yoga,
in.
the beach. Hell yeah, I'm in. I went there thinking that the whole week would just be practicing yoga, eating good food, going to the beach, and me practicing my Spanish because I'm a Spanish speaker. Turns out that that's all that happened. All that happened on the trip. All that happened, and I also got introduced to yogic philosophy, and it was really captivating for me because it's not tied to any religion. It's not tied to any denomination or sect or group of people. And basically what these concepts are is like exactly like what Christianity would be, but also it pulls philosophy from Vedic literature. And Vedic literature stems from oral stories for the beginning of time. It's older than Christianity. All the Vedic literature from floor to ceiling could not fit in both of our rooms combined. And so what you learn about is a different form of meditation, and you learn about mantra meditation and japa meditation. So mantra meditation is repeating mantras. So there's just a bunch of mantras you
Mhm.
learn, and you can sing them. You can do them on your japa beads, which are right here. So if you're listening, it's kind of hard, but you do japa meditation and you go around repeating the same mantra, and you go over, and you can repeat things like Nityananda, embodiment of pure bliss, or the Maha mantra. It's called everybody's mantra. It's not tied to the Hare Krishnas. It's not tied to Buddhism. It's just Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And basically that just means I offer my service to God, and like your life is a service to God. And so you repeat these things, and it's basically something that frees you from your mind. And you also learn about just other philosophies, and there's a bunch of different stories that he'll tell you. So like for example, there's this one story of this monk, and this monk was like super enlightened, and he moved to this town and in India, and they were like, well, that's not cool of him. We're going to see if we can corrupt him and make a phony out of him and show him that what he's doing is stupid, because no one should be enlightened. So they sent a prostitute to his door, and he's sitting in the corner, and he's reciting his mantra meditations on his japa beads. And um, so she knocked on the door, and he said, "Oh, come in." And uh, she acknowledges him and stuff, and he goes, "Well, just I'll be right with you. I just need to finish my japa beads, my japa meditation. So if you could just have a seat in the corner, I'll be right with you." And little does she know that he's on a quest to recite. I don't remember the number. It's like 100,000 mantra a day. So he's just sitting all night and all day reciting the same mantra on his beads. And so there she is, just waiting for him to be done with his meditation so she can try and seduce him, so the whole people of the town can expose him. And next morning came, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but I just finished my meditation. I've got to start my next meditation. If you can come back later, I'll hear you out." So she's all right, I'll come back later. Comes back later and knocks on the door, um and she's like, "All right, okay, I'll be right with you. If you just let me finish my meditation, you can sit down and wait." So this time she bows to the Tulsi tree, and Tulsi is a spiritual tree. And so she bows to the Tulsi tree and sits and waits. This time, the whole night, she's reciting the mantra, reciting the mantra. The next day, "I'm so sorry. I got to get on to my next mantra, but if you come back later, I'll help you out." And comes back, the same thing happened. Bows to the Tulsi tree, sits there all night. But by the end of the night, this time, she's reciting the meditations with him. And then all of a sudden, over time, she keeps, it gets stuck in your head because you just repeating the names of God. And so then she herself becomes enlightened, and she herself becomes a monk, and she starts preaching about all the things that she learned. And that's the journey that she had. And so stories like that is captivating to me. And
Mhm.
it's a bunch of it's so like refreshing for me. It was refreshing for me to hear this kind of stuff.
Now, how do you spell that? Vedic?
Vedic, so Vedic, Vedic
Alright.
literature from the Vedas, Veda. Um, and so learning about all this awesome stuff. You know what? I have a paper. One second.
Yep.
So this is from a meditation introduction course. So you'll learn about meditation, and you'll learn about all this stuff. And so you learn about, so he talks about these yugas, and this is something that I can give you more information if you're interested. But this is all important. Like it's tying into the story. So
No, you're
you
good,
let
dude.
me
I'm
keep
I'm
going.
totally in on this
Okay, you're
story
locked
right
in.
now.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So he talks about the yugas, and is this from Vedic literature? So we have 4 yugas. We have the Satya Yuga, the spring of the earth. Human life expectancy is 100,000 years, and the global consciousness is collectively enlightened, and the attention span of everyone is insane. We can pass down all this Vedic literature by remembering it and speaking orally to each other. And the method of obtaining enlightenment is silent meditation. Okay. And think of biblical terms here. Think of the biblical times. So the next yuga is another time period for humanity, or the earth, is the Treta Yuga. Human life expectancy is 10,000 years. Does that sound familiar to you? Global consciousness is 90% enlightenment. Attention span is still pretty good. And the method of obtaining enlightenment is sacrifice, like food or animals. I think animals. I don't know. I could be mistaken here. The next yuga is the Dwarpa Yuga, the fall of the Earth. Human life expectancy is 1,000 years. Does that sound familiar? Global consciousness is 50-50. Attention span is good, but it's okay. It's still good. Method of attaining enlightenment is temple worship, mosque. What's the thing that they built for the Christians? Oh, I'm blanking on the word. I'm blanking on the word, but
Mosque,
temple worship.
mosque and church. I don't know.
I'm blanking on the word.
Synagogue.
No. What did they build in the Old Testament?
Oh no.
You're blanking on it too. It starts with a T, doesn't it?
I don't think.
Tabernacle. Is that it?
There it is.
Tabernacle? Yeah, I think that's it. Anyways, that's
Yeah.
the fall of the earth. Okay, the Kali Yuga is the winter of the earth. Human life expectancy is around 100 years. Global consciousness is less than 10%. Less than 10% desire for spiritual pursuits. And attention span is horrible. I mean, I think we can agree on that. Does that sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
All that sound familiar?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Method of attaining enlightenment, mantra meditation. So that's why there's a big focus on that. So learning about that, I'm like, wow, that sounds so cool. And so I spent that entire week learning the philosophy, just the introductory philosophy of all this stuff. And it was just really captivating to me. And so I walked away from that yoga retreat with a sense of like, I didn't know stuff like this existed outside of outside of Christianity or religion or anything, because it's like I didn't feel pressured to join. I didn't feel pressure to tithe.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel that. And also for me with the religion thing was, well, if reincarnation is real, that kind of defeats what they're talking about in church, because it's not heaven or hell and you must like conform and do it, like accept Jesus into your heart to go to heaven. Um, and so when I thought about that, it was just one of these questions that I had. And every time I get to this topic with people, it's like, well, I just have faith that this is how it works. And I'm like, well, that's not a good enough answer for me, because just having faith, what is that? What does that go by besides the word for those for those for God, what is it? Um, must come through me. Must come through me. What's that verse? What's the full verse?
For it's like for those who want to achieve enlightenment, they must come through wisdom, something like that, right?
No. It's about going to heaven.
No.
For those who seek the Father must come through me. But what you don't realize is it's in present tense. Who is Jesus coming to earth as? Someone to talk about God, and it doesn't check out for me. It didn't.
No one comes to the Father except
There
through
you
me.
go. No one comes to the Father except through me.
John 14:6.
But he didn't say no one will ever be able to go to the Father unless they go through me forever. It said
Mm-hmm.
those who come to the Father must come through me. But the reincarnation thing just what so we have a whole nother half of the world that believes in reincarnation. What what
What?
it just blows everything out of the water for me. And then there's a spot in the Bible where I think so Jesus is with John the Baptist or something like that. Totally, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but they're like, you must be Elijah come again. And he says, no, he's not Elijah come again. He's so and so. And so why would he say in that moment, oh, he's Elijah come again, if reincarnation wasn't real?
Okay.
And then there's stories today where you have children who speak about their past lives, and they're like, yeah, I was here and in this country and this happened to me and that's how I died. And so then they did a research study. I'm pretty sure it was this girl in West Virginia. She talks about this thing that happened to her in Russia. I'm probably butchering the story, but just understand the topic here. They go and believe her. So they go back and she has all this knowledge. Their parents have no idea where she gets this knowledge from. And so they actually believe her. They go where she said that she spoke about, and then they talked to this family and they're like, yeah, that's this person um died like this, and that's how the girl is explaining to these people how she died in her past life.
Hmm.
And so for me, like, I think there's more to it than just believe in Jesus and accept him in your heart and you'll go to heaven. If not, you're going to burn eternally in hell. Like why would such a loving God put you into eternal suffering because you didn't accept Jesus as the one true only savior? I think, and
Okay.
I'm not going to sit here and say that everything is wrong and Jesus is bad and church is bad, but I'm going to be one that says I don't think that's I think there's more to spirituality and religion. I think there's more, whether collectively they're hiding it or they just don't understand that and don't see it. And I also can't get behind the notion that the Bible as in and itself is a perfect, untouched translation to what we have today.
Yeah.
I can't do that either. And I've had conversations with people before as well, where it's like, well, how are you able to trust all those people before you to translate the Bible from Aramaic and ancient Hebrew to Latin to Greek to Elizabethan English to now current English? And we have
You
and
get the right words
and
and
the NSV version, they're actually making it gender neutral. How do you trust these people to give you the right? Like,
Mhm.
and they're just like, I believe God is a perfect God and that it's perfectly translated. And it's like, but even if people don't even have malintent, how do you trust people to go from this language thousands of years ago to English now? Right. And so, how can we take it word for word like that and treat it so literally? It just,
Yeah.
it's just something for me that I just had questions for. And that's why I stepped away from the church because of reincarnation. And, oh, if how can we know that the Bible is 100% like this? And, right. And I'm not by no way or shape or form am I saying the Bible is bad. Like, I'm talking about what Jesus said in his teaching and his lectures. I think that stuff is so important to achieving spiritual enlightenment. But there's more. There's more. I know there's more. And so for me, it's like I think going to church would be great. I'd love to go to church. Actually, remember the last time I went to church was a couple months ago per invitation of my friend, and I went there, and of course I was going to go, and there's a bunch of other college students going, and the pastor was on there, and he was like, "And you only have one choice. You can choose to accept Jesus into your heart, or you won't. You just won't. And if you aren't choosing to accept Jesus, then you're denying him." And I was just like, why are you trying to give people that, like, not give people the option, or why are you trying to not guilt trip them but just make it so
Yeah.
stern like that? It just, that doesn't resonate with
The
me. And if you're,
ultimatum.
yeah, don't give people an ultimatum. That's not what religion should be. And so when I came across this other side of spirituality, it just felt so freeing. There was no ultimatum, there was no do this or this will happen, or it's only like this, and you have these strict rules you need to follow, and it's all this, and you have to be so conceited, and it's this and that. But it just felt freeing, and it felt like I didn't have to conform. It just felt like, oh, this information is there to help, and like I feel so much more spiritually enlightened. I had never felt like that just practicing Christianity and praying to God. And another thing too with the Christianity is like, with your when you're praying, I think praying is and talk with God isn't it super important for your connection and
Mhm.
your just spirituality and stuff. But when you're praying to God and you're begging for things, please God, like do this, do that, please, please, please. You're taking the power away from yourself, right? I think that's another thing that
Mhm.
religion does is it strips you away the power. If people you take your power away, but what you don't realize is you're the most powerful thing ever. We are created in God's image. So what makes you
Mhm.
think that you're no less powerful, right? And another thing that I don't like about religion is that it makes you separate from God. God is away from you. God is not away from you. God is within you,
Within, yeah.
and God is you. Like God, you are created in God's image. So in a sense, you are like God, right? And people
Mhm.
don't want to think that because, oh, I'm not perfect. I will never be even close to achieving that because I sin. Every day I sin and I will never be perfect like Jesus. And it's the way you talk down among yourself.
Yeah.
It's just this negativity and this I will never be like God because I'm not perfect and I sin every day. And that's why I need Jesus. But what God wants you to know is that, yeah, you're not perfect. No one's perfect. But if you make a mistake, it's not a big deal and you don't have to repent for your sins. Repenting for your sins just means, oh, no, it doesn't mean, God, I'm so sorry that this happened. It just means you acknowledged your wrongdoing and understand that you're going to make a conscious decision to attempt to not do it again.
Yeah.
And so for me, it didn't add up and it just doesn't make sense. And I went to well, there's this mega church in town, and I was talking to one of the people in the like yoga group. What I don't even know what to call it because there's no specific denomination or name for it. But I was talking to one of these people, and like, yeah, I went to Port City Church, and it's the mega church in town, and the New Age church, and the pastor was saying, well. After church, after the service today in the parking lot, we're having tequila and barbecue dance, and you're gonna be a bunch of drinks and stuff, and we're gonna have a good time. And I was like, is the pastor of this church encouraging people to get drunk?
Mm-hmm. Just don't sit right.
Don't sit right. I'm sorry. It just don't sit right. And so
Mm.
for me, where I'm at now is I feel like I have a growing relationship with God. And I feel at like every single act that you do is spiritual. And everything that happens is connected spiritually. And for me, it's something that opened my eyes to a lot of things. And with Christianity, you ask about that, and it's not or just with Christians, like your average Christian, just having these conversations because I love talking about spirituality. I love talking about philosophy. So every time, like, the Christians will just be really open to conversation. So I love getting in conversations. And so it's just something that they don't see everything as spiritual. And one thing about yoga philosophy is not eating animals because of the karma that goes into it or whatever. And
Mm.
it's something I've been back and forth on. It's like, well, you know, I don't
Come
know.
on.
Yeah, but but they make a good case for it. It's like, well, if it's a life form, it's a soul. You're eating the flesh of the soul, and it's like the karmic value, and it's like, wow, they see it as a spiritual thing, and so
Yeah.
they see it as this harmonization with animal life, and at the same time a spiritual thing of not creating that excess karma and the spiritual nature behind just eating plants because it's connection with God. But then I have a Christian friend. She's vegan. I'm like, so are you plant-based at all because you see it as a spiritual act or because you see it as just a health thing? She's like, in no way, shape, or form do I see it as a spiritual thing. I don't think it's a spiritual thing at all. I don't understand why that's a spiritual thing. In the Bible, it talks about like sacrificing animals, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't think she like blew my question off. And I was like, wow, just the difference between the two. For me,
Yeah.
was a little bit significant because if you talk to this one group, it's such a spiritual thing. The act of food and the act of eating an animal, like we wouldn't eat an animal because it's a spiritual thing, and you're eating the flesh of us, the body of a soul. But to my Christian friend, and I'm not speaking about all Christians. I'm just saying this is the one I had this conversation with,
Yeah.
almost blowing my question off about asking if it was spiritual.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I am now. It's just for me, I'm focusing on my relationship with God, being in harmony with God, fulfilling my purpose that God has provided, and also telling people about God and making sure people understand that where I'm at now is because of God, and where what I need to do is because of God, and everything is spiritual for me.
Yeah.
So, and like, so back to the church thing, I ran into a group on campus and they were like, "Oh, they had a table and they were like, "Oh, we're writing down what we're grateful for." I was like, "Oh, awesome." And they had like a little tree. It was so cool. And everyone was like writing down what they're grateful for. So I wrote down like a bunch of things. I was like, sun, food, friends, family, bunch of they were like, "Wow, you have a lot of things written down." I was like, I was like, yeah, there's just so much to be grateful for, and thank God every day for what I have. And they were like, yeah, yeah. And I didn't even know they were affiliated with the church. Sorry, I didn't take more. So there I get to talking, and recently I had been getting into numerology, and I don't know if you're into that at
Ah,
all.
I need some info
Yeah,
on
talk to
that for
Caleb. Talk
sure.
talk to Caleb.
Yeah, okay.
So so my life path and the numbers work. My birthday's the 28th. Um 8 is the number of wealth. 2 8 2 plus 8 is 10, which is a leadership path. So it's something that I had been embracing a lot, and I've also been seeing a lot of 8. And so they were talking about church, and they were like, yeah, felt like we should do this for the students. We have a group on campus, and we're through a church here in town. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I'm glad that you're doing this for the students. I mean, I feel like we need a lot of this
Mhm.
in college, for especially for us students and stuff. And they're like they're like, "Yeah, you should come check us out sometime." And I was like, "Sure." I mean, whenever I have time, like, usually I work on Sunday mornings, but yeah, where are you guys at? I'd love to come check it out if I ever get the chance. And they're like, "We're at this church called 828, and we're in town over by the airport." And I was like, "Oh, cool. You're over
Interesting.
there by the airport." So the seed has been planted, and by no means am I closed-minded to the Christianity church, the whole thing. I think the reason I'm here is because I allowed myself to be so open-minded and accept new ideas. And so
Right.
for me, it's a journey of open-mindedness. And so I still haven't gone to that church, but it's just because like I had previous commitments. But it's definitely, the seed has been planted. And so for me, it's a journey, and like all journeys, it's never ending. So I'm not in any way, shape, or form trying to like throw shade on Christianity. I'm not in any way, shape, or form trying to say that is wrong. I just have questions, and I feel like there's more, and I feel like there's some things that are missing.
Yeah, no, I think first off, yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry
But
that took a long time, but
no, I
I had
expected
to
it
say
to,
all
dude.
of that.
Yeah. No, I expected it too. I will be looking into Vedic literature because I have my own questions, and I want to say to any Christian listening that this shouldn't feel like an attack on your faith more so than you should be trying to answer the questions. Shouldn't be, oh, he doesn't understand or whatever, just knock, like you said with your friend, knocking you off, and who cares? Like these questions, you should be looking for the answers as well. Cause I mean, I don't know the answers. I don't know if anybody knows the answers, but the seeking of the answer is the important part. And I think a lot of people will get defensive. You know, it's a topic close to a lot of people's hearts, like especially with faith, dude. That's what saves a lot of people. For me, the church saved a lot of harm doing I could have done to myself.
100%.
Yeah. So it's a topic almost as bad as finances. You talk about finances at the dinner table, it's going to go one way or another. It's going to be like, oh yeah, we're all good, and it's very surface level, or it can go very deep, and everybody goes, it starts pulling at heartstrings. And then the same thing with faith. You talk about faith like this, and it's gonna lead people into getting very defensive very quickly because it's something so close to their heart. So, um, no, man, I'm very excited to get into Veda. You planted that seed for me because I've always thought of getting into Buddha. And my grandfather, who I wasn't too close with, didn't get to talk to him much. He died when I was about 13. Um, he was like a Buddhist. So I wanted
It's
to
not
get
even a
into.
it's not about like Buddha, it's about the philosophy.
Yeah,
And it's
right.
more than Buddha.
Right. And I just wanted exactly, and I needed an avenue to I needed a seed planted. So you
Yeah,
planted a seed.
I'll send you some stuff.
Yeah. So um yeah, man, it's a journey. I would say the book, the Bible, the book, like you said, incredible for its stories, incredible for its morals. For me, I needed a little more of a moral framework where I was at, and I just didn't have it. I was the ruler of my framework. It was what I said go, and I think it's a great starting point for a lot of people. And then when you start getting these questions, I end up, looking at other things. I think it's so widespread, number one top seller book for how many years now?
Forever.
And Yeah, and I don't know, it's church in the for the church aspect, I was fortunate enough, dude, I ran into one church, went to one church, and it's been the church I love. It's been the community I love. I don't see it as a cult like, I don't see really any negatives that come along with that. I hear a lot of horror stories with church. I got lucky with the first one I found. I went to a couple other ones, didn't like them. I just personally I got lucky with the one church I found, and I've been going to it ever since. I'd like to say the spiritual aspect is what a lot of Christians miss out on, like you were saying. A lot, it's just go by the book and your life will be good. But that's how I got into church, was the spiritual aspect. I've been looking and searching for that a little extra aspect. And it is forgotten when you're just reading the book and you're going off of what the book says and what Jesus says and all that. You're not thinking. I'm with you on the idea. You're pushing yourself down. You're talking down on yourself when you're speaking so highly of God. And then, like you said, they'll talk about how you're made in God's image. So you have that little piece of God in you. So God is a creator, and I've worked with this elder lady, Cheyenne, and that's what she said. God put us here to create. We're here. We're built in God's image. We're here to create. That's what he did. Ultimately, that's what he did, is created all of this. So we're here to create because we are godlike creatures. And that is taken away. Even when I'm praying, I try not to put him too much on a pedestal. I'm praying as if he's a homie of mine.
Mhm.
Like, I'll talk to you later, God. Like, that's typically how I finish my prayers. It's like, all right, God, see ya. Talk to you later. Amen. Like that's how it ends. Um, I think that's why the church has gotten such a bad rap in the past couple of years, and for a while now, is people are going against it because of that piece. And then now we're seeing that spike in spirituality. For the for the little phases that you shared with us, does that ever go up? Do you know? Like, it was 10,000,
What do you mean?
the 100,000 year lifespan, 10,000, 1,000, 100. Will that ever reverse? Or is that just like a linear thing? They're just kind of historically
I
connecting it.
I don't know. That's gonna be that's more something for research. But if you- what direction are you wanting to go? Because I would like to share another story.
I don't got any direction in mind, dude. That was just a question I had about it. So if it's
Okay.
for research, share it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, definitely look into it's the Yuga, YUGA, the Yugas. But this this topic might help Christians understand the spiritual nature of everything, and also might help with making the bridge between Christianity and spirituality. You know what? I have two stories to share. They're both really cool.
Yeah.
Number one. So so my friend has a friend, and he told him about this experience that happened. So the first he saw him one time, um, didn't see him for like a year, out of town, would come visit at the yoga studio. Came back with a huge scar on his face, on his forehead. I was like, dude, what happened to you? He's like, I died. And he's like, no, I died last time I saw you. He's like, yeah, well, yoga class is hard. He's like, no, 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 I died. And he's like, what? So opens up to him, tells him the story. He's like, you're probably the person I need to tell the story to. It's like, after the yoga class, I'm I'm at the hotel. He's on business trip with his business partner, different hotel rooms, hotel, going to on a hike outside the city. And I'm on the hike, and all of a sudden I slip, fall, smack ruck, everything goes. And his face was cut open, and like, do you know what happens? I mean, when that happens, and then about 10, 20 minutes later, the business partner goes on the same hike. This is their day off, unplanned, sees this person on the ground, and oh my God, what? Calls a helicopter. Helicopter him into the hospital. He's like dead. He's been dead. He's on life support. And then all he said, while all this is happening, he's floating through space and time to this gate, to this warmth, to this light. And he's floating, and all he wants to do is go closer, because he feels how good it feels. And he's like, "Oh, God's in there, God's in there. I know God's in there. I need to see God. I want to see God. I want it." He's going. And this is all happening while, ho- dead, hospital, on life support. This happens for like a month. He's like in like this on life support for like a month. Going. Oh, I know God's there. Gets to the gates. These golden gates guarded by two angels with wings that look like us, but he said they're the most beautiful people he's ever seen. And he's like, they're like, "Oh, what do you want?" "I want to go in there. I know God's in there. I want to see God." "Sorry, can't let you in." "What? But why? I want to see God. I want to see God so bad." "Well, what have you done in your life that makes you think about you should come see God?" "Well, I want to see God." He looks down at his arms, and he's just like them. It's his spiritual body. He's glowing and he's golden. It looks like he looks like them. And they're like, "Well, let me show you something." They zoom him in, and he's in the hospital room, and he sees his body with all these tubes, and is on life support, and he looks like shit, and he has this like bandages all over his face. He sees his wife crying in the corner. He's like, "Oh no, my wife, my face. Oh no, my job, my job. Oh no." Like, this is why we can't let you in, because you're so attached to your material things.
Mhm.
You have to let go of your material things to go see God. And all of a sudden he's shot back into his body, and he wakes up. He's like, "Honey, let's go." Like, ready to go back. And so he had this near death experience and this outer body experience. And where is he at? He's at the gates of heaven. But the angels wouldn't let him in because he was so attached to his material things. It doesn't have to be your possessions. My wife, my job, what? And so for
Mhm.
me, hearing a story like that lets you really tap into the spiritual side of you that you are, your soul. He left his
Yeah.
body, and he thought that was like 20 minutes, but that was like a month.
Yeah, dude, wow. That's what DMT does. I've done DMT, and that's exactly what it does.
Yeah, that's intense, man. So
Yeah.
so for me that helped me bridge like the Christianity and spirituality, because
Mhm.
like angels in heaven. I want to see God. I want to
Yeah.
go see God, right? Isn't that not crazy? Even like even himself, he wasn't that spiritual, but I want to go see God because it felt so good,
Yeah.
right? And so my personal story with a church and like a spiritual experience is, um, I'm actually glad I remembered this because it relates to church. But so a year ago, I had an ACL surgery. I was on crutches. It sucked, and I was about 2 3 weeks in, and there's this church back home that is like it's a prophetic church, and it's pretty cool. It's not like most churches. I would probably go there if I was in town. That's probably like what I would do, but I just don't live there anymore, so I don't go. But I was, I wanted to check it out because I have friends that have gone and just speak really highly of it. So told me about this like prayer room that he went to, and he got a prophetic reading, and they told him all these crazy things about him. And like his grandma went into the church. The pastor called his grandma out by his name and said, this grandma was never religious, but call his grandma out by her name. First time in a church in like decades, and just being able to call her out. And I don't remember what he said to her, but just crazy things happening at this church. So I'm like, all right, I want to see. I went on like a Wednesday, drove myself over, crunched up, go into the main thing. I'm like, oh, okay, this sanctuary is not really a sanctuary. It's like a sala. And there's tables, and that's cool. And there's a university here, that's crazy. And there's hotels. Wow, there's hotels here. That's cool. And it's like on a lake, and it's cool. It's new, super nature. And so I walk over to this little other building. It's tiny, tiny little building. Walk over and open the doors, and it's like glass pane everywhere, overlooks the lake. Some guys like playing the piano. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And I'm walking over, and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "Good, good, good." He's like, "The healing ceremony will start in about 20 minutes." And I was like, "Okay, okay, okay." And so I'm like walking around, picking up some papers, looking at some other stuff. I'm like, "Okay, this is cool." And so then I just sit down and put my foot up, prop my foot up because my knee's fucked up, and just sitting there. listening to play piano. I'm like, wow, this is cool. I'm glad I came checked out this church and whatnot. And then some old ladies started trickling in, and sooner or later, this guy stopped playing the piano, and um, they're all set up and whatnot. And this old lady came on the microphone, and there's like one other person sitting down in the chairs, and she was like, "All right, well, now we're gonna go ahead and start the healing ceremony." And I was like, the fuck is going on over here? Like, what am I about to witness?"
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, I'm being surrounded by these like 3 or 4 old ladies, and they they start, "Oh, Jesus, thank you so much for healing Stephen's knee. Thank you so much. Oh, you are already healed. Oh, you're already healed. Oh, Stephen, you're already healed. Your leg is so good." And just starts sprinkling oil on my wound and rubbing it on my leg, and just like hands on my shoulder. "Oh, thank you, God. Thank you, God, so much for healing Stephen. He's so strong. Thank you." It happened for like 20 minutes. They're praying over my leg. And then like just this whole spiritual bliss. I'm like in tune with God. I have chills running down my body, and like my hairs are sticking up, and like I'm like, how the fuck is this happening right now? And I really just let go in this moment and just like felt this, and I was like, how did this even happen? And like they finished up with me, and then all of a sudden this lady brought me up. She drew me a picture, and it was like an angel with like wings, and it was all colorful, and it was like something about like, "For I know the plans I have in store for you," and like wrote down a verse. And it's just like what just like I was so confused, like what just happened. And I like went over again to this little board that they had, and it was like, a calendar of what happens in this little room or this little building that they had. And I was looking, and I was like, what's today? Okay, so looking at the day, and I was like, healing ceremony. So what else do they have in here? I'm looking at all the events that they have, and I'm like, healing ceremony once a month at this time. And I was like, how the fuck did I even come in? Like the fact that I
Yeah.
just went into that building on that day, on that time, like just with a like fucked up knee, like I couldn't even walk, and I'm on crutches. I just happened to walk in at that moment, at that time, and I was like that is like the reason why I'm so in tune, is because stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the craziest experience I've had. Some people have had crazier experiences than me just with spiritual stuff, but like for that to happen to me, it was a lot. It was a lot of confirmation.
Yeah. That's that's what got me going with it all too, man. It was realize like how did this happen to me? How am I still alive? Because there was like, no coincidence. There's no coincidences anymore. I I flew over to Iraq, 18-hour flight, stayed there for 80 days, and flew back 18 hours unscathed. Nothing wrong. A year after, I did the same thing. 18 hours, 80 days, 18 hours back, unscathed. I'm like to
The
me,
amount of
that's
things that have could have gone wrong.
right. I mean, dude, billions, like trillions of different things that could have gone wrong then through the 80 days, through the 18 hours. It's insane to me that I'm still here and alive. And then for me, it was holding a gun to my head and getting coming out of that. It's like you know how close I was. Like any wrong turn, I could have been dead. For some reason, I'm still here. Like what? Why am I still here? Like there's no way this is just a coincidence that I'm just still here living, and now turned it around and become a platform and leader for the people that have gone through that. It just to me, it just doesn't add up. But incredible stuff, man. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
Running
yeah,
a little bit
yes.
over on time,
I
which I
kind of
was
rambled a lot, but I mean, you opened the can of worms with the religion, man. I could talk
yeah.
about it for a long
No,
time.
I don't think we've had that type of conversation, that type of talk, especially with a new point of view, um, with everything you've been through and all that stuff. So, and I didn't, dude. That's why I love doing these because you can't. I can't plan them, and I'm not going to. It's ridiculous for me to try and plan them. Someone asked me how's yesterday. I was talking to my referee buddy, and he was asking me like, "Oh, okay. So what do you got questions on the podcast? What do what do you bring up? All that stuff." I'm like, dude, I got no questions. Never have a question. Like I if I need to, I'll start it off with, the childhood, what was it
Yeah,
like? And then that typically flows from there. I got one question, and because that's important when you're trying to get a full picture on somebody. What did you go through as a kid? And then from there, just it rides off and there's questions will pop up and it just somehow free flows every single time. And I will say, dude, I did not expect any of that when asking the religion question. I had no idea. Um, that's just one of those things like there's no coincidence. Now I have something to look forward to, something to go research, and something to expand my spirituality with. So I thank you for sharing all of that, man. It's incredible. I'm very excited to let you know how that goes as well.
Yeah, let me know.
Do you want to just plug all your stuff real quick, and then we'll go on to the final question?
Yeah. Okay. So you can find me on Instagram. I make motivational videos for people. I'm doing a 30 for 30 Reels day with my accountability buddy. I have a podcast, The Ascension Show, only on Spotify right now. I have an organic superfood business, so I help people optimize their health with products. There's a bunch of different products you can do. Currently, I'm doing a cleanse with the products, the Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation 30 days cleanse. You can also do 60 days or 90 days. Products are affordable, but also you should, I mean, if you drop like $200, you'll get really good stuff. And what you can also do is get tapped in with a Facebook group, consulting. There's a business opportunity, and you can get connected in with Troy Casey, the certified health nut. If you join the business, really good opportunity for people looking to expand on that. And anything else I'm doing, eventually I'll be on the stages playing guitar and singing my songs, but that's in the future. So there we go.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. So similar to your final question, yours was, if you had everyone listening, what would you tell them? That was awesome. Had me think deep, and that will be the name of my book. Is what I said. You're not alone. If you think back to the time you were struggling the most, just kind of try and close your eyes or something, and just think of when that was, when you hit your current rock bottom. I guess what you would say was your rock bottom. What would be the one tip you gave yourself for overcoming it?
Oh man. Be the one tip. Everything is temporary. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's your life or the feeling that you're going through or the sickness that you have, the injury that you have, or maybe you're heartbroken from a girl. It all will come and go. Friendships, relationships, the highs, the lows. It's all temporary. And you just, if you know that, you can navigate it.
That's a good one, man. I like that. Well, man, look forward to checking in on you and all that fun stuff. Getting this relationship going a little further, because
Yeah, man.
you've provided a lot of info. I'm looking forward to the day I provide you with some info.
Oh, dude, it's mutual, bro. Feel
Yes,
the same
sir.
way. Thanks so much for having me on your show, bro. It was awesome to be able to have a conversation again and speak from a little bit different perspective. You got to share your story on my podcast. I got to share my story on your podcast. So that's cool.
Yeah, good stuff. All links will be in the description, people. Thank you for tuning in. Looks like we had 7 people just about throughout the whole show, so that's pretty awesome. And catch y'all on the next episode. Peace out.